later. It's very clear from the gospel today and by the words of Jesus that we have to take up our own cross in order to enter into the kingdom of God. Jesus calls his followers disciples, and the word disciple comes from the Latin word discipulus, which means student. And so we are students who learn from Jesus, but not only learn, that once we learn what he has taught, we go out and proclaim with our lives and our actions the reality of the kingdom of God being among us. True discipleship, first of all, acknowledges Christ. Some in the world have rejected Christ even after they have accepted him because of the cost of following Jesus with all of our minds and all of our hearts and all of our strength. This is extremely dangerous. No other church can offer the fullness that the Catholic Church offers, the church being founded by Jesus as is laid out in the teaching of Pope Benedict XVI in one of his encyclicals, Dominus Iesum, that the fullness of truth subsists in the Catholic Church. That's not to denigrate or look down upon any other Christian body, but it is to say that Christ founded one church, and his church is the means of the fullness of truth and salvation. Secondly, we are called by Jesus to deny ourselves, to take up our cross daily, and to follow him on a daily basis, not when it's convenient, but on a daily basis in all our actions. Thirdly, we are to be humble, as last week's gospel pointed out, because if we are not humble, we cannot be open to the message of the gospel and to embrace it and make it part of our lives. And fourthly, we must place the kingdom of God before all else, because everything around us, as we look around, eventually will pass away, and all that will remain will be the kingdom of God. Thus, Jesus uses a sort of shock tactic in today's gospel. He's not telling us literally to hate our parents or brothers and sisters or those sorts of things. He says it to get our attention that this is an important matter. And he reminds us that real love is not just emotion. Real love is not human passion alone, but real love is sacrifice and the giving of self to others as Christ gave himself on Calvary. This is most clearly seen in the Church's teaching on marriage between a man and a woman, sacramentally married, the woman representing the Church as bride and the husband representing Christ as the bridegroom, that united in this sacrament with each other, they put aside and forsake all other relationships in that respect in order to keep holy the matrimonial bond. Thus, we are all to forsake whatever hinders us from the kingdom of God. And witnessing to that kingdom, we look to the great martyrs of the Church who gave their very lives in order that they would not compromise the message of the gospel. They are all around us throughout history and continue to our present day to offer their very selves for the sake of the kingdom of God. Further, love always wills the good of the other, despite the emotions involved. People hurt us. People can hurt us, and we can feel resentment. Or we can feel the love that Christ felt as they nailed him to the cross, as he said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." The choice constantly is ours. We are called to complete commitment to Christ and to his church, and this is reiterated by Christ in his examples that he gives in the gospel of building the tower and the king going to battle, that we weigh our energies and our strengths and we see where we can truly conquer and be successful, and that is always in Jesus Christ. In summary, we have the example of the great St. Paul, who had status and power, But Paul realized after his vision on the road to Damascus that these things are fleeting. Paul was powerful, he had position, and he persecuted the followers of Christ until he heard the voice, "Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me?" And then his eyes were opened, as our eyes should be opened by the truth of the gospel. Like St. Paul in this year of evangelization, which is quickly coming to an end, we should be prepared to preach the kingdom of God that is eternal. And we are called by our baptismal commitment to further that kingdom here on earth.